Want to thank everyone for coming this afternoon. We just finished emergency cabinet meeting. We did the same with Azelle, and we found it worked well. And so we met again for about an hour and a half, entire cabinet, about 56 folks. And we went around the room making sure that we were all doing the things we needed to do to be prepared for Ana. We take this tropical storm very seriously. We got a briefing from our Peter Harai of Emergency Management giving us the latest update. And then we went around the room talking about what we're going to do to be prepared. And we did want to emphasize a few things. Tomorrow, we will be making a decision on whether we issue an emergency declaration, what time and if we're going to close our parks, how we're going to handle our bus operations and when we'll stop service and how we're going to help people getting into Waikiki to work, and what shelters we're going to be opening and where. We'd like to share that with you right now, but we're going to get a briefing at 5 in the morning on the status of this storm to see where it's going. Some of the good news I think that we've taken in this storm, we're treating it very seriously. It's going to strengthen into a hurricane, it looks like, and then weaken. It's going a little bit more south than it originally thought. Those are all good things, but it's a very, very hard storm to predict. Very unstable weather conditions, very warm weather, and so we're not going to know. We want to make the decision in a more real-time situation so that people are prepared when they need to be prepared, and we don't create what some people call hurricane fatigue. Take it extremely seriously. So what I'd like to do now is call in various folks in this room to talk about some of the detailed things we talked about in our cabinet meeting. I'm going to call first Peter Harai, who is the acting director of, deputy director of emergency management. Peter, come on forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of the press. As the mayor said, Tropical Storm Ana is approaching the Hawaiian Islands, and we're taking this storm very seriously. We're coordinating all of our resources at the city. We'll be opening the Emergency Operations Center for the city and county tomorrow morning as of 8 a.m. to more closely monitor the storm and to ensure that city services are being well coordinated during the response. The National Weather Service tells us that we'll begin to feel effects from this storm very early Sunday morning. Now, with that said, that's just the tropical storm winds. What we're looking at is dangerous high surf beginning to kick up at least 12 hours before that, and the rains will also start to kick up at least 12 hours before the onset of the storm. So Saturday night, we are looking at hazardous conditions already beginning. Now, because of the unpredictable nature of the storm, that may move up, it may move down. We just don't know at this time. We'll probably know more tomorrow morning, as the mayor said, after the 5 a.m. But we ask everyone to please remain flexible as far as their plans go and try not to make any firm plans during the weekend, especially if it's outdoors. We don't want people outdoors during the storm, and we don't want people to be traveling outdoors during the storm especially. Thank you very much.
Okay. We'd like the Director of Division of Facility Maintenance, Ross Sassamore, to step forward to talk about what his department has been doing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. Crews from the Department of Facility Maintenance continue to check drainage areas, making sure that everything can flow freely. We're also making sure that all of the generator sets that our base yards are equipped with and key city facilities are operable, ready to go. We're also making sure that generators supporting radio transmitter sites are also operational, ready to go, to make sure that we don't have any disruption in communication. Base yard facilities have been secured. We have fuel orders to make sure that all of our fuel tanks are topped off, vehicle is refueled completely, and everything is ready to respond in the event they're needed. We've also implemented a coordinated response team where various utilities will have crews stationed at selected city base yards around the island to provide immediate response to any kind of situation affecting electrical service, telephone service, cable service, and gas utility service in the metropolitan Honolulu area. That way we'll be able to minimize any downtime and respond quickly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Coordination with the state.
We also have coordinated efforts with the State Department of Transportation to make sure that all of the transportation networks that we have shared will be operable. Just to let everybody know, we're not going to be patching any potholes during the storm. Our crews have been dedicated to making sure that all of the preparations for this storm are being made. So we're going to suspend that activity until after things return to normal operations. But if you have any concerns, people can still call in pothole requests to 768-7777.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Next, I'd like to ask the Deputy Director of Environmental Services. Those are the folks who operate our sewer system, our refuse pickup, and a lot of things that impact daily life on this island. And so Tim Holton, the Deputy Director, is going to come up and talk about that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Department of Environmental Services is going through and reviewing all our plans. We're securing all of our wastewater facilities as well as our solid waste facilities, refueling generators, vehicles, moving equipment where it's necessary to be into safe locations so that we can continue to operate and provide wastewater service throughout the event. On the refuse collection side, at this point in time, with the current schedule for the storm, we do anticipate providing normal refuse collection service on Saturday. As of course, we do not provide refuse collection service on Sunday, so that will not be an issue. And we anticipate resuming normal collection service on Monday. But we do encourage residents to be alert for potential changes if the storm were to change, for both collection and for operation, potential issues of operation of the convenience centers, the landfill, and the transfer stations for individual drop-off, particularly on Sunday as those storm condition changes. We also do ask residents to plan ahead on Saturday to take refuse, their carts, bulky items that may be out front of their properties, take them back into their properties, secure them so that they're not a danger to themselves and others during the event. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I want to have Ernie Lau, Director of Board of Water Supply. There's a lot of questions about how much water do we buy, how do we plan for this, for the next 7 days, should the worst happen, and Ernie?
Thank you, Mayor. For the Board of Water Supply, we take providing water to our community very seriously, and that's our commitment to all of you. We are suggesting that people keep at least 1 gallon per person per day, at least for 7 days. That should take care of your needs for drinking water and your sanitation needs. Just keep in mind that you can get 1,000 gallons of water for less than $5 from the Board of Water Supply right at your tap. So using a clean container such as this, make sure you clean it out well with soapy water or a little bit of bleach, and you can actually add a few drops per gallon, a drop per gallon, and then store water for at least the duration of this storm. So I know it's challenging making it down to some of the stores to compete with everybody else trying to get bottled water. But remember, from the Board of Water Supply, right at your tap, safe drinking water, 1,000 gallons for less than $5, and all you need is a clean container like this. So please be prepared. Thank you. Oh, by the way, also, we have, as many of the other city agencies, we do have generators. We've actually deployed 8 very large generators at key pumping stations around the island to try to continue water service should the power go out. If the power does go out, because most of our water is pumped, we depend on electricity from Hawaiian Electric. If they, for some reason, had to disrupt their service to us, we ask that everybody immediately practice very strong conservation measures. Don't waste water, don't use it unnecessarily, don't wash your car, don't irrigate your lawn, just take what you need for sanitation, drinking purposes to survive. So if the power goes out, remember, save water, practice strong conservation. Thank you.
Thanks, Ernie. I do want to emphasize this on the water issues. You know, and every time we have one of these threat of a storm, people run to Costco, they run to all the different big box stores, and they clean out the shelves, and they have carton after a carton of water, denying those who also need bottled water. So as Ernie said, it's the best deal in town, 1,000 gallons for
Less than $5.
less than $5. So please be sensible here and think about, we are one big ohana, 1 million people on a very small island. Let's think about our neighbors and friends who are going down there too, and leave some for them, and instead use the great Board of Water Supply water, some of the best tasting water in the United States, we've been told.
And all you need is a clean container.
So I want to thank Ernie for making that emphasis there. Next, we want to have Jeannie Ishikawa come up. She's the Deputy Director of Parks and Rec. Talking about, a lot of people are going to say, our park's going to be open, how about getting to our beaches? We do want to emphasize that we've made one decision so far. We're going to revoke all camping permits starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's about 87 permits have been issued. That means more than one person could be at one of these campsites, and there's one additional permit for a group of about 100. We don't want to let them go in on Friday night and then have to tell them they got to leave on Saturday. We want to make sure that people can leave the parks should we decide to close them. So that is something that we're going to be notifying each one of the permit applicants. And of course, they will be refunded their fee, and they can apply again for another time. But with that, Jeannie, do you want to talk more about parks? Thanks for coming. All right. We made this for Ember Shin, but I'm glad to see Jeannie can use it too. Step on up.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. As Mayor said, we did make a couple of decisions today regarding the Department of Parks and Recreation. One is that we will be rescinding all camping permits that have been issued for this weekend, which would be from the 17th through the 19th. There are 87 permits that have been issued, and our staff will be notifying each of those permittees about the cancellation and how to apply for their credit. In addition to that, we did decide to support the Board of Water Supply, and we will be shutting off our irrigation to our fields in our parks to conserve energy, conserve water in that sense, to support the Board of Water Supply. In addition to that, the Department of Parks and Recreation has been taking care of and tending to their equipment and preparing for fallen trees or broken branches. So Division of Urban Forestry is working on that. We're also staffing the shelters that will be taking place around the island. So our staff is preparing and getting training and getting supplies ready for that event.
Thank you, Jeannie. Appreciate it. Along with parks, you think about beaches, and we'd like to have Ocean Safety Chief Jim Howe step up and talk about what they're going to be doing, along with Mark Rigg, who is in charge of EMS. So if you both could step up, you want to go first, Jim? Or Mark? Okay, good. He's the boss. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, members of the press. The Emergency Medical Services Department would like to relay some important information to the public. Number one is organize your medications and have them ready to go, and not the time to have them disorganized and lying around the house. Also, don't rely on the paramedics to transport you to a shelter facility. They will only be transporting you to an emergency room. And please take into consideration that we could be very busy. Don't hesitate to call, and we'll be there for you. But we'd like to let you know that we're responding to real emergencies at a time like this, and keep that in mind as well. If the electricity does go out, any people that are on ventilators, they need to keep in mind that they need to have a backup generator at their home to keep their ventilator working properly, or be in a facility that is capable of handling their generator. And that's all I have. Chief Howe?
Okay. Thanks.
So there might be a little bit of surf this weekend. Actually, we're already, preparing for, as the mayor said, to be ready for anything and be extremely flexible in our approach to the beaches and what's going to happen out there. We do fully anticipate that we'll start to see the effects of the surf well in advance of the winds. And it'll initially show up on the eastern shores, starting at Makapu, Sandy Beach. We'll see some of the effects at Diamond Head and on up the South Shore. Those effects will probably intensify. The wave heights will get bigger and bigger. And we expect that the winds, if they manifest to where they're looking, is going to make the beaches pretty ugly. We're going to end up potentially with a lot of debris. We're also probably going to have a lot of stream runoff, and we would anticipate a brown water advisory coming from the state. That really tells us that going in the water, not just because of the surf and the currents, but also all the debris and everything else that could be in the water could be very hazardous to your health. So we're asking everybody to please use your best judgment if you're going to go in the ocean. We would really prefer that folks didn't. We've already opened the river at Waimea Bay. That's going on as we speak now. We don't want that water to back up into the homes up in the valley. Places like Kailua, the stream will be flowing. So there's going to be island-wide impacts. Our lifeguards will be on duty. We will keep our service as intact as possible. We'll leave the towers open. We'll have mobile response on the roadways. If you get in trouble, let us know. We'll get there. We'll do everything we can to help you. Two things I'd really like to emphasize. We had a tragic event last weekend with some folks that got down into one of the ledge areas. This is not a time to be near the ocean if you're on a beach or on a bench. The waves will be big. There's going to be wind. If you fall in, the likelihood is that you may not come back. So please, hiking around the shoreline is also very dangerous. So let's all use our best judgment, and we'll see how it goes.
Thanks. Really appreciate it. Thank you. I do want to emphasize, taking real precaution. Should we decide to close the parks, in all likelihood we will. That includes our beach parks. We really don't want people to go down to the beach and into the water. One, it endangers their lives, but the other thing is you hear Chief Howell talk. Why do we want to endanger our lifeguards, our firefighters, who may go in the water to help save them too? It can be a tragic story for everyone involved. So please use your best judgment. Follow the park closures that we may announce and listen to the lifeguards. Please, don't endanger yourself or them and their families. So I want to thank you for that. We're going to have Mark Garrity talk. He's the Deputy Director of Transportation Services, about our bus service and also the issue of helping our workers in Waikiki get to work, because at any given time, on any given day, we have about 100,000 visitors on this island, many of them in Waikiki, who do need services even during an emergency period. So Mark, if you could come up and talk, please.
Yeah, just like last time, we are prepared to provide bus service to the emergency shelters that are being set up. There's going to be 15 shelters around the island, and we will be announcing tomorrow when that service will start. It will depend on the opening of the shelters. We're prepared to operate regular Saturday service, at least at the beginning of the day, but it will really depend on the forecasts that come out tomorrow. We're not yet prepared to announce that we're going to be suspending regular service. So as of this time, we're still going to be offering regular bus service on Saturday. And then we are prepared, if necessary, to offer special service to accommodate workers either getting workers to Waikiki or back from Waikiki if necessary. But again, we're not prepared to announce that yet. So stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll probably be letting you know about all of that. Thank you. Yeah.
Finally, in terms of prepared presentations, as you know, a sign of any civilized community, and particularly a place like Hawaii, we all care about those that are less fortunate. One, we've talked today about making sure our friends, families, and neighbors are going to be taken care of. But then one of the least fortunate part of our population is our homeless population. We can't forget about those folks, and we are not forgetting about them. And we're going to be taking action. I'd like Jun Yang to talk about that a little bit. Thanks, Jun.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been coordinating, my office and Department of Community Services has been coordinating with our service provider community to provide outreach to the homeless that are out in the beaches all around the island. We've been asking them to also outreach to the flood-prone areas to inform of the proposed evacuation shelters around the island. We've been coordinating with DTS to make sure that the bus services will be able to help these individuals to get into the proposed shelters. I just wanted to let you know that Isel was a good trial run. We have a lot of lessons learned in coordinating. We are now coordinating to make it run smoother. We just want to make sure that we have a quick shout out to some of the organizations that have been helping us: Red Cross, Waianae Coast Comprehensive Care, Caravan, Next Step Shelter, Kalihi Palama, IHS. These are the groups that are doing the on-the-ground outreach to the homeless that are out on the beaches and in the valleys. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thanks, Jun.
Oh, and U.S. Vets as well.
U.S. Vets. I do want to emphasize that part of that is we'll make sure that bus service will go down to where we know homeless are encamped, for example, in Kaka'ako in certain areas down by the Waianae Small Boat Harbor, to make sure that they can be taken from where they are up to a shelter and returned back afterwards. So we're going to be announcing that probably tomorrow. We appreciate what you're doing to get the information out to all your viewers. I mean, if you weren't here, we wouldn't be able to get out. We're working hard, but no one would know. And you're helping make sure that people are empowered, protected, and ready to help each other should this storm become as bad as we may think it will be. We are planning, again, for the worst, but we are hoping for the best. And I think that's what always happens here. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. And I hope the best happens. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.